This week's ADC location of the week is Western Port. Well, in last week's episode, due to the northerly wind stirring the bay up, we decided to get ourselves offshore ready and make the trek from Hastings to Cape Woolamai. Our target species for the trip was offshore gummy. Our Shimano outfits were loaded up with bait, and I don't think they were aware of just how much work they were about to do. Before we could get to what we came for, we had to fish through a variety of different species, some of which eventually became bait, and even a free feed for a visitor we had stay by the boat and keep us company nearly the whole trip. After what seemed like an eternity, we finally got a little run that gave us hope that we had finally gotten onto what we came for. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's show.
Actually hasn't done what most of the gummies do out here, which actually they can scream off and take a lot of line. This one just loaded up and swam slowly around the boat, so it could either be another big Port Jackson or it might just be a lazy gummy shark. We'll find out shortly. It's doing all the characteristics of a shark, which is swimming headfirst into the current, but I'm not quite sure what it is. It's got a little bit of strength about it. There's no point in rushing it. The fish is trying to take line, just let it take line, and if you rush it and sort of spook the fish, you're only going to make things worse for you. So it's gone under the boat. It could also be a small 7-gill. It's a bit of an awkward fight at this depth. You've got to make sure that the fish keeps the line away from the boat, so you've got to fight them awkwardly, sort of. Keep your rod out or down where it needs to be. Keep your rod tip away from that edge of the boat. It's got some good weight in this fish though. An absolute ripping gummy shark. So we need to get a net, guys. But
And there she was. Exactly what GB said would happen, happened. Just as the tide started to slow, we hooked up on a beautiful big offshore gummy shark. And I can tell you what, guys, she was definitely worth the wait. Moments like this are what awesome fishing trips are made of, and I am sure you would all agree this was a very special moment.
so what I'm going to do, Dean, I've loosened my drag off a little bit because she's close to the boat now. This is where big fish can be lost.
Now this is what we've come for, right, GB? You called it earlier.
Yeah.
You said there was a big gummy there. This has certainly not done what a normal gummy does, but by gee, he's a screaming fish.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to get it on the boat.
So I might let it do one more circle, Dean, and then to see if we can get it come around to that net. It's a little bit harder with the offshore gummies because there's no current as such like we have in Western Port where you can just lead them into the current. But the circle hook's right in the corner of the jaw, I can see that, so we can just take our time. Here you go, Dean, this is your shot. I'll just lead her into the net for you. That's it. Loosen my bail arm and beautiful. So I'm just going to take hold of her tail before she comes in the boat there. Just a bit of control.
Okay, so GB, this was the species we came for, isn't it?
That's it, mate.
Now, mate, what did she take?
She took the blue throat rat, which is the male parrotfish. Yeah.
The elusive bait that everybody just throws straight back.
That's right.
How heavy do you reckon this baby is, mate?
Around that 14, 15 kilos.
Every bit of it, I would say, an absolute beauty. And you're dead right, she did not fight like a normal shallow water gummy shark.
That's right.
Would fight. Absolutely no fight whatsoever till it got to the top.
It used the water column. It actually came round the boat a lot of times, circling round, using the line in the water column instead of actually just racing off, which a lot of times they do.
What a beautiful place you've brought us to, GB. We've had non-stop action from the word go, and we finally caught this baby as well.
Great news is, Dean, the tide is not over, so we could actually see another one or two.
Brighton Jeep, we don't just sell Jeeps, we live Jeeps. Okay guys, so if you ask people who go fishing or fishermen, what's the best way to fish, they'll tell you with fresh bait. And the best way to get fresh bait is catch your own. But you know, sometimes life doesn't allow you to do things like that. You're busy with work and life and so on and so forth. So I reckon if you can't get your own bait, you've always got to have plan B. And today, I'm going to show you my plan B. Tommy! How are you, buddy?
Dean, good to see you, mate.
Good to see you,
Thanks for
mate.
coming down.
Tommy, the best way to go fishing is to have your own fresh bait that you've caught. Would you admit that?
100%.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Okay, but guys, sometimes as I sit outside, life doesn't allow you to do things like that. We all live such busy lives, you know, and it's always good to have somewhere or a plan B, as I like to say, to go back to. Now, Tommy and I met a few years ago, and that was by accident. I was working around the corner and I dropped in here to get some seafood, and I thought, wow, what an amazing place. And I haven't stopped coming back since then. Now, Tommy, this is a family-owned business here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and about this amazing place that you run here?
Yeah, that's right. So it's a family business owned by myself and my brother. We've got the old man in here, gives us a bit of stick and a little bit of advice at the same time.
But he's the wise old man. Is that a fair comment?
He's got a bit of knowledge here. First time I walked into this place, I think I was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And that's when he was working here. It was an export premises sending mainly orange roughy, but all sorts of other fish all over the world. And that was basically the start of it for me. I haven't really looked back since and haven't gone anywhere else since. So here I am, what are we looking at, 28 years later, and taking it over now and going strong.
So it's fair to say, mate, there's not too much about this industry or the world of seafood that you don't know about, yeah?
Well, look, I don't claim to know everything, but I can honestly say I've been doing it all my life.
Yeah. Now, guys, as I said, fresh bait is the best, but a lot of the stuff, Tommy, that I get off you is as though I've just caught it. And some of the best results and some of my PBs have been using your bait. And I have to say, guys, sometimes Tommy's bait will actually outperform the stuff we've just caught out of the water. Tommy, where do you get your stuff?
So we source most of it through one of the biggest agents in the Melbourne wholesale fish market. We've had a great relationship with them for as long as I can remember. We've stuck by them, they've stuck by us, and it really pays off for us. And through them we can basically source any product we want from anywhere in Australia.
And that's really, really important, guys. One thing you need to understand, when I ring Tommy and I ask him, do you have this and do you have that? Tommy knows what I need. And would it be fair to say when you ring them and ask them for what's available today, they know exactly the standard of food to deliver?
Most definitely. They know the deal. They know what we want. They know what we need. They know what our customers are looking for. That's what it comes down to. It's just that trust within the supply chain. If you've got that, then you've got the world at your feet.
Yeah, well, and that's important. I think that's the secret to what makes this place so good. And guys, I have to say, it is probably one of the best, if not the best, seafood places. I mean, wholesale seafood place or retail seafood, raw, for stuff for you to learn how to cook, and beautiful fresh prawns and oysters. And if Tommy doesn't have it, it doesn't exist. I believe in Australia anyway.
An average day for us, we're talking 45 to 60 different products available. So if there's not something there that can tickle your fancy, then I'm not sure what will.
And I have to say, guys, I don't like to talk anything but the truth on TV. Tommy, I've never ever got anything out of this place that hasn't been superior, the most superior quality, you know? I mean, whether I'm using it for bait or whether I'm having a Christmas dinner or whatever the case may be, mate, the quality of the food that you get out of this place, guys, is second to none. And that is so important, so important. And that's why we've decided to join up this year with the guys here, and they give us the best and we want to give you the best. So Tommy, once again, mate, welcome aboard Real Fun Lifestyle and Fishing. Now Tommy is going to be our resident filleter, because I reckon if you got a sore tooth, you go to the dentist. If you want to learn how to fillet a fish, I reckon you go to the guy who knows about it. So welcome aboard, mate.
Fantastic, thank you.
So it was the end of the tide, and we were just getting over the excitement of catching that beautiful gummy shark. We thought, you know what? We have achieved what we came for, so maybe we should start preparing for our long haul back into Hastings. But as Mother Nature often does, she had different plans. And of course, we weren't ready. But the footage was that good, we couldn't let you miss out on the surprise that awaited us, even if the microphones weren't turned on. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. Okay, so GB said, let's hang around a little bit longer, and we did. We've just about hit the bottom of the tide, and now we've caught an absolute screamer. GB, this one feels twice as heavy as the other one.
Yeah, this one's up around that 22, 25 kilos.
Yes,
yeah.
She's a big girl. GB, we've struck gold today, mate, seriously. We've come out for this, we've caught this. I could not be happier. GB, thank you.
No worries, mate.
And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. This week's ADC Safety Tip of the Week. Okay, Tommy, so before you can successfully fillet fish, you've got to have the tools of the trade, right? And I see a beautiful display of tools of the trade out here. So why don't you tell the guys at home what these are?
All right, so this is the basic fish filleting kit that I use here. consists of just a handful of knives. You've got a sharpening steel, sharpening stone, a scaler, and these trusty cotton gloves, which, as far as I'm concerned, you can't live without them, and you'll see throughout the series what I mean. So, starting with this one, this is your basic filleting knife. Use this for ripping the fillets off your flathead or any similar shaped fish to that. You can also use it for doing any of your skinning, cutting your bones out. We've got the big mama here, which we use for cutting up shark, slicing any fish, skinning any fish. Got our, what we call a boning knife. This is used for the more delicate and intricate types of filleting, things like your King George whiting, filleting your snapper and your kingfish. Got a round nosed gutting knife here. Makes life really, really easy for gutting your snapper, gutting your whiting, gutting your flathead. Basic fish scaler. Got your big ridges on one side for your big scales. You've got your small ridges for your small scales. Sharpening stone, what we call a combination stone. You use this every now and then. This is for actually getting your knives sharp. Then you've got your steel. This is for getting the edge back on your knife. After all that cutting down on your cutting board, eventually your knife edge is going to roll over. This is to put the edge back on, make your knife straight, and make it sharp again.
Now that's all great, Tommy, but to a layman like me, like I'm just chopping, filleting, and hoping for the best. I would dare to say these things are razor sharp, right?
They're sharp enough to shave with.
Okay. Why don't you show us the correct way to sharpen one of these using this fella here?
So it's pretty simple. You can either hold it upright like that if you've got the guard on there, or you can hold it upside down if you're not so confident. And then it's just a matter of getting your knife on a slight angle, running it from top to bottom, then on the other side, as you're running it down, top to bottom. As we get a bit quicker, it looks a bit more along the lines of that.
Guys, please don't do this at home without plenty of practice. Would it be fair to say you've cut yourself 1 or 10 times?
Most definitely. Have a look at that there, you can see where I've missed.
Well, and what about this one here? How do we use that, Tommy?
Okay, so this is the sharpening stone. This is what you actually use to sharpen your knives when they become blunt. Now you just want to get a little bit of water on this, and then you're just holding your knife on there, tip it up on a slight angle, and you're just going backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. You don't need to put too much pressure on there at all. Do that a few times on one side, roll it over on the same angle, and you're just running backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards.
Once again, guys, don't do that at home unless you get good at it.
Always give your knife a crack on the steel after you've had it on the stone, because that'll get rid of all the burrs. 7 or 8 times is more than enough.
And we're ready for action.
Let's start cutting.
Now, guys, Tommy said don't leave home without him. I've been lucky enough to see what he actually means by this, and I reckon you guys are going to be really, really surprised when you see what he does with this. But hey, that's for another day. What do you reckon?
I reckon that sounds all right.
Beautiful. This week's European Auto Refinishers Tip of the Week. First thing Tommy does after he guts the gummy is he removes the head just in front of the pectoral fins. Next, he removes the pectoral fins and the dorsal fins. As we remove the rear pectoral fin, we also remove some of the skin off the belly. Once we remove all the skin from the belly, we'll lay the fish on its side. Now run the knife down along the spine, and that should give us 2 nice clean fillets. Turn the fillets over so the remaining skin faces down, and it is now time to remove the remaining skin. We do this by running the blade of your sharp knife between the flesh and the skin. You will notice Tommy constantly removes any excess unwanted parts of the fish as he goes along. This is done to save time. When you get good at removing the skin, you will learn to get it off in one go. Remove any excess spine cartilage, and now your fillets are ready to cook. After our last unexpected surprise, GB said, why don't we set the rods for one more go? Because who knows, there's a chance we can hook up once more. But unfortunately, our last gummy was exactly that. So the time had come to pack up and make our trek back, but hey, what an amazing trip we'd had. Well, GB, I would call that a success. What do you think?
Pretty good day on the water, eh?
Mate, great day on the water, I have to tell you. Guys, it's guys like this that make guys like me have a great time, you know. This is a beautiful country we live in. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. I love to know exactly what he's doing. I enjoy this place. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
See you guys.
See you guys.